Hey YouTube, and you casters out there here on YouTube. Today's going to be a good day. We're testing out some zinc bullets. Now, this has been a hot topic on Cast Bullets forum, and there's only a few people here on the tube that actually done some testing on them. Elvis Ammo being one of them, and I'm actually going to be almost doing what he done. And I'm going to test to see if my 300 blackout bullet could penetrate a 1/4 inch mild steel and kind of work up and see how much damage it does with even thicker pieces of metal. Now, the main reason I wanted to kind of get into zinc casting is that I don't really live in a free state, so lead here is very hard to come by. If I was to get a hold of lead here, it's outrageous prices. Now, I've been buying my lead online, so, it is cheaper, but yeah, at the cost of shipping, it ends up being a lot more than what most people get it, or some people can get it for free, Unfortunately, my state uses zinc wheel weights. You do occasionally get a couple lead wheel weights, but it is rare. So I'm looking for alternative metals. Looking at the periodic table, zinc is not as heavy as lead, but is a pretty good substitute. It is something that can easily be worked as far as metal as melted and worked into, and it has a lot of good properties that us shooters and casters are looking for. So I got some main bulletins I wanted to kind of go over. Number one is casting zinc worth it? Well, basically worth struggling to cast with. I could say casting with zinc has been a pain in the ass. In the process of me doing even 50 of these bullets of the 300 blackout bullets, I ended up damaging my mold. In fact, actually, let me show you. Alright guys, here is my mold. This is a NOE HTC mold by, well, I just said NOE. It is 153 grain, 309, spiral point design. It doesn't have any lube grooves, and it drops out for my lead. It's basically wheel weights or lino type mixture. Mine drops out about 150 or 151. So, I mean, NOE molds is pretty on point with what they sell. I really like their molds. They really good design. But to go back to what happened to it, I was only able to use just the first mold cutout, and reason why is because that's casting with zinc, it hardens up really quick. So getting a good pour, I was using a turkey fryer and a ladle, and it takes some good skill. I'm actually debating about getting another lead pot if this actually works and start using that. My only concern is getting it hot enough and not blowing out that lead pot. But you can see the nick it did from whacking the hell out of that sprue plate. So, casting with zinc so far, is it worth it? Or is it worth doing? Well, you're going to take some damage out of your mold, as far as I could tell. Maybe we could probably talk to these mold designers and see if they have another piece of material that they could machine these molds out of. Maybe a little bit more durable. Also, another thing that was mentioned on some things I've read on some forums was that zinc bullets can damage your barrel. Well, I find that kind of hard to believe. Zinc is at a Brinell hardness of 400 or about 400. A copper jacketed bullet, or at least copper itself, is about an 800. And, that's going down a hardened steel barrel. So I said I find that hard to believe that's going to cause any damage, any kind of erosion to your lands, what people have mentioned. Usually people that have mentioned that just haven't ever tested zinc themselves, or just go off what other people say. Other than that, using your sizing die and sizing zinc bullets, that's another thing I forgot to mention, was basically, my experience is that sizing bullets like this that have quite a bit of surface area to be sized, like I said, these drop out about a 309 to 310, and I'm sizing them down to 308. I'm having to, pretty much work my press quite hard. That's something to take account of. Maybe over a 1,000 or so, it may wear out your sizing die. I took measurements before and after sizing about 120 of these zinc bullets, and it hasn't done any damage at all. If else, it actually looked like it polished it up. So maybe a benefit. But what I've noticed is a bullet design like this with the lube grooves seems to size a hell of a lot easier. It almost slides right in there, like it's, like it has some kind of lube on there. Another attribute about zinc, which could possibly work on our benefit. So that's what I got for so far with casting zinc. Is it worth it? I'll go back to that once I do some further testing on that. Alright, number 2 bullet point. This is probably one of the most asked questions about zinc bullets is, are they accurate? Well, I'm going to be doing some ladder load tests with the 9mm and the 300 blackout. I'm using Winchester 231. It's a kind of a flake ball powder, and looking at some reliable load data. Buddy of mine has the Hornady, it's the 40th edition. They have a bullet that is weighed at 80 grains for a 9mm, using this powder with a max charge of 5.8. Now I'm going to start a little lower. This is basically what I start with my 124 grains. That's 124 grain bullets. 4 grains I'm starting with. And I actually got a chronograph finally. Yeah, I know it's been a while. So yep, I'm going to start with 4 grains and see if they group, get a standard deviation, and work up from there in 0.5 grain increments. Towards the top of the ladder load, when I get to about 6.4, 6.3, I'm gonna start tapering off from 0.5 to maybe 0.3, just to see if I find an accuracy node. Plan on probably when I get set up out there, shoot about 15-20 feet with my SIG 226 and go from there. For 300 blackout, same thing, do a ladder load test. I'm probably going to use Hodgdon 110, H110, and main reason is because I don't want to be able to, I don't want to have compressed loads and risk having a overpressure issue when I'm out there. I want to get the most velocity out of it without it damaging any components or myself. H110 is a very fine ball powder, and speeds on that seem to be pretty good. And like I said, I've been testing that with my other videos, and it's been pretty good powder so far. And I'd be glad. I'm actually really happy I finally could test it with a chronograph, get some accurate readings. So number 3 on a bulletin point I have is weight comparison. Well, I told you that these ones drop out a 153 grain, or 150 for me, using lead wheel weights. This is about best is going to get trying to cast zinc. You may have a little bit of a wrinkle here and there. These are at about, I believe, 94 grains. This is pretty much the same, yeah, 93.8, 94. So almost the same, basically, of what Elvis Ammo was stating on his mold that his was dropping out at about 95 grains. I thought about powder coating these just to get that extra half a grain and maybe bump it up to 95, but I think I'm just gonna rock it out the way it is. As far as the 9mm, this drops out of me for at about 126 grain, vinyl type mix, low weights. With the zinc bullet, actually they come out a hell of a lot better than that 300 black, I think, because it's a smaller cavity, so it's able to fill in the cavity pretty quick. These drop out at 75 grains. Now that's pretty light, and like I said, it's hard to find load data for anything that's even 80 grains. So you know, it being 75, I'm definitely going to be taking some risks. I'm probably going to shoot the gun off of a gun vise and a string at first, and make sure everything functions great before I put my hands around that thing. But one of the reasons I wanted to try the 9mm is because of they usually have really slow twist rates, or slower twist rates. On mine, I got a 1 16 inch, and that should be pretty good for shooting light bullets, I believe. You know, if you think about the wiffle ball effect, you know, if you were to give it a good spin, it's going to, you know, deviate its course. So that's some of the main things I wanted to look at as far as accuracy and weight comparison. Now, number 4 bulletin is, there's been a rumor, or maybe in the past that I've read, I also heard that they actually scrub and clean your barrel. Well, I got an issue right now with my 226. It's possibly because I got about 8,000 rounds down it, and you know, got a little bit of throat erosion. So I went shooting last weekend, and it's got a lot of lead buildup, or carbon buildup in the front of the barrel. I'm going to leave it as is. I'll show you once I get to that, you know, my shooting spot and get on set up, and then, you know, give you a little shot down the barrel of it, and fire off maybe 10 of those and take another shot of an after effect, or after shot of what it looks like in there. That'd be kind of interesting to know. I was told that with precision rifle shooters, they carry zinc bullets as a clear out, basically a clear out shot to clear out their barrel before they cool it down. So that may be just a kind of a good attribute for zinc bullets. Now, in my 5th and final bulletin I wanted to go over is, you know, what's the purpose and philosophy of use of a zinc bullet? Well, I kind of hint on that in the first part of the video. You know, finding lead is hard, so can zinc be a good alternative? Well, so far, you know, it seems like it's got its possibilities. With it ruining my mold, which I'm kind of upset about. I mean, that all deals with you know, learning over time and getting experience with it in casting. As far as a purpose, if these things could go through a quarter-inch mild steel, or even 3/8 mild steel, and I could get about the same, say, FPS as close to a 223 and a 330 cal bullet, I think there's going to be some good purpose there. I mean, I tested it before on the 300 blackout. I just never did I did an accuracy test, and I was just shooting a steel plate, and these things were just turning into a puff of smoke. It was freaking really cool. Elvis Ammo had his video, and it showed how it, you know, it created a blue dust of smoke, and it had blue shrapnel all over the cardboard. I was getting about the same effect, so I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I think it's pretty cool. For a purpose, shoot, I mean, it's a light load. You know, it could carry more ammo if you were, say, go hunting. It's got great penetration compared to a lead bullet, and you know, it's another form of metal that we could use. So yeah, I went on part 2 of this video series. when I got there to range and get set up. And if you guys haven't had a chance, check out Elvis Ammo's video channel and his playlist on zinc bullets. Now, he's an awesome dude. He's got a lot of good advice on casting bullets, and he's got a pretty good in-depth review of zinc rounds that he made, even shooting out of a 357 revolver. Pretty cool. So yeah, when you get a chance, check that out, and I'll get back to you guys. Thanks.